After Cannae, Hannibal's cavalry commander, Maharbal, rode to his general and made a proposal. "Give me the cavalry," he said. "I will ride ahead. You will dine on the capital in 5 days." Hannibal refused. Maharbal reportedly replied with one of antiquity's most famous lines, "You know how to win a victory, Hannibal. You do not know how to use one." Whether those words were actually spoken or were invented by later historians, they capture a question that has haunted military history ever since. Why didn't Hannibal march on Rome after Cannae? It is the central puzzle of his career, and the answer reveals everything about the nature of his strategy and why it ultimately failed. This is why Hannibal never took Rome. To understand Hannibal's decision after Cannae, you need to understand what his strategy actually was. Hannibal had not come to Italy to destroy Rome. He had come to Italy to break Rome's Confederation. Rome's power rested not just on the city of Rome itself, but on a network of allied Italian cities and peoples, the Latins, the Samnites, the Greeks of southern Italy, who provided soldiers, resources, and political support. Without that confederation, Rome was just one city. With it, Rome had an apparently inexhaustible supply of manpower that could absorb catastrophic defeats and keep fighting. Hannibal's plan was to demonstrate Roman military weakness so convincingly that Rome's Italian allies would abandon the Confederation and come over to his side. Once the allies defected, Rome would be isolated, unable to replace its losses, and forced to negotiate on Carthaginian terms. Trebia, Trasimene, and Cannae were not ends in themselves. They were demonstrations, proof of concept, evidence that Rome could be beaten, had been beaten, catastrophically and repeatedly. Marching on Rome itself would have been a distraction from this strategy, and Hannibal almost certainly knew he couldn't take it anyway. Rome in 216 BCE was still a heavily fortified city with substantial walls, a garrison, and a population that had shown it would fight to the last rather than surrender. Hannibal had no siege equipment. The nature of his march over the Alps made hauling heavy siege machinery impossible. Sieges of major cities in the ancient world typically took months or years. Sitting outside Rome's walls for months while Roman armies regrouped elsewhere would have destroyed everything he had gained at Cannae. Maharbal's cavalry riding ahead might have created panic. It would not have taken the city. So Hannibal did what his strategy required. He marched south into the regions of Italy where Roman control was weakest, demonstrated his dominance, and waited for the Confederation to collapse. And it did, partially. The city of Capua, the second largest city in Italy, defected to Hannibal after Cannae. Several other southern Italian cities followed. The Greek cities of southern Italy, long resentful of Roman dominance, opened their gates. Syracuse in Sicily switched sides. Philip V of Macedon entered into an alliance with Hannibal. It looked for a moment like the strategy was working. It was not working fast enough, and it was not working completely enough. The core of Rome's Latin allies, the cities of Latium, the Latin colonies scattered across Italy, did not defect. These were the most deeply Romanized cities, the ones whose elites were most integrated into the Roman system and had the most to lose from a Carthaginian victory. They looked at what Hannibal was offering, essentially a return to pre-Roman independence, and calculated that Roman citizenship and the Roman system, even under military pressure, was worth defending. This was Rome's crucial advantage that Hannibal had underestimated, the depth of the Roman identity that had been built over centuries. Rome had not just conquered Italy. In many places, it had genuinely integrated it. The people who remained loyal to Rome after Cannae did so not merely out of fear, but because they considered themselves Roman. Hannibal's strategy required the Confederation to be a fragile political arrangement that would shatter under military pressure. It was more durable than that. Rome, meanwhile, adopted the Fabian strategy that had been abandoned before Cannae and now embraced in earnest. No more pitched battles with Hannibal. Shadow his army. Recover the cities that had defected, one by one. Cut his supply lines. Keep him in Italy, but deny him any decisive outcome. The years after Cannae settled into a grinding strategic deadlock. Hannibal won every engagement he was drawn into. He was never defeated in the field in Italy. He marched from one end of the peninsula to the other, demonstrating his invincibility. But each demonstration cost him men he could not replace. This was the fundamental asymmetry that doomed his campaign. Rome could replace its losses. Hannibal could not. Carthage sent him reinforcements, but never enough. The sea was controlled by Rome's navy, making large-scale reinforcement by sea dangerous. An overland route through Gaul and over the Alps was theoretically possible, and Hannibal's brother Hasdrubal would eventually attempt it. But the political will in Carthage to commit the resources that Hannibal needed was never fully present. Carthage was not a state organized for total war the way Rome was. Its government was run by merchant oligarchs who calculated costs and benefits. The cost of maintaining Hannibal's campaign in Italy was enormous. The benefits, which required Hannibal to actually win the war before they materialized, were abstract. Every year that passed without a decisive victory made the investment look less worthwhile to the men controlling Carthage's treasury. In 212 BCE, something happened that briefly seemed to change the situation dramatically. Hannibal's forces captured Tarentum, one of the great Greek cities of southern Italy, a major port with an excellent harbor. For the first time, Hannibal had a port through which Carthage could supply him by sea. Except Carthage didn't send the supplies. The opportunity passed. Tarentum was eventually retaken by Rome. Hannibal's window to receive substantial reinforcement closed. In 207 BCE, his brother Hasdrubal did attempt the overland route, crossing the Alps with a second Carthaginian army. He made it over the mountains and reached northern Italy. He sent messengers south to coordinate a junction with Hannibal's forces. The messengers were captured by Roman forces. Hasdrubal was intercepted at the Metaurus River in central Italy. His army was destroyed. Hasdrubal himself was killed. The Romans cut off his head and had it thrown into Hannibal's camp. It was how Hannibal learned that his brother was dead and that the last realistic hope of reinforcement was gone. He retreated to Bruttium, the toe of Italy's boot, the one region where his remaining forces could be sustained and supplied by sea from Carthage. He stayed there for 4 more years, undefeated in the field, but unable to do anything decisive. A brilliant general trapped in a corner by strategic circumstances that his battlefield victories had never been able to overcome. He had been in Italy for 12 years. Then came the news that changed everything. A Roman general named Scipio had invaded Africa. Carthage itself was threatened. The Carthaginian government recalled Hannibal from Italy to defend his homeland. He had spent his entire adult life trying to destroy Rome. Now he was being asked to leave Italy without having done it. He sailed from Italy in 203 BCE. Ancient sources say he wept as the Italian coast disappeared from view. Whatever the truth of that detail, it captures something real. The recognition that the campaign was over, that the strategy had failed not on the battlefield, but in the deeper calculus of resources, allies, and time. He had never lost a battle in Italy. He had lost the war. Next time in the Hannibal series, Scipio Africanus, the Roman general who studied everything Hannibal had done, turned those lessons against Carthage and built the campaign that finally brought Hannibal to his last battle. Until then, this has been Drawn from History. Thanks for watching.